Welcome to Don't Be Shady, the podcast where we keep it real about love, dating, and relationships. No sugarcoating, no games, just the raw truth about red flags, boundaries, healing, and everything in between. So grab your tea, take a deep breath, and let's get into it, because around here, we don't do shady. Welcome to Don't Be Shady. I'm your host, Priscilla. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have the amazing Maria joining us. She is an expert in navigating the dating world after long-term relationships, including marriages and divorces. She's here to share her insights on starting over and finding love after failed attempts. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. So today, we're going to talk about a few things, but first, can you share a little bit about your journey and what led you to focusing on dating after long-term relationships?
My journey has been about the failure that I've experienced. I've been through 3 marriages and divorces. Wow. I've been on a personal growth and development journey since early childhood, from the leadership of my parents. And after each individual failed marriage I had, I was reevaluating, like, why did this relationship fail? What was the breakdown? But I didn't do a deep dive to really understand things like the red flags that I had not experienced. I was really well versed, right, in the red flags I had experienced, but not in the ones I had not yet been exposed to. And so each relationship that I went through was a learning curve for me to learn the things that I was not doing correctly, and basically leading to the results that I was getting. And after my 3rd failed marriage was when I really did a deep dive into figuring out what it is about myself that was creating this reality for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really love that, because you're coming from a place of, I've experienced this, so I know what you're going through.
Exactly.
Because there's so many times we go for help or we talk to people, but they've never been married.
Yeah.
They've never been divorced. So what really kind of actual advice can we really take from that, right?
Exactly.
So what are some common challenges people face when entering the dating scene after a divorce or a long-term relationship?
Well, when people experience a divorce, obviously there was some type of breakdown in the relationship. Something, initially you were drawn to each other because of an attraction, because of something that you liked about each other. But somewhere down the road, things fell apart. Resentment probably began to build for some reason, and the relationship broke down. And the experiences that we have through that, we carry with us until we've really processed them, understanding what led to those situations. So when women and men re-enter the dating world after a bad relationship, they're making choices based off of their experiences. So they may have walls that are built up because they're trying to protect themselves from that pain again. So they may not be vulnerable to share, the truth about themselves. They may not be authentic, wanting to, present an image that isn't really authentically them. And a lot of people experience just a destruction in their confidence. Because when you've experienced failure, you're like, am I not good enough? Am I not worthy of this? So we carry this lack of confidence with us, or lack of self-worth. And it just really challenges us, or creates a challenge for us when we re-enter the dating scene, because we sometimes can sabotage healthy relationships because it's something we're not used to. It's not behavior that we're familiar with or we don't understand. It's just so many different situations that you might experience that just cause your behavior from your patterns in the past to continue to repeat those patterns.
I think those are really good indicators of why things fail and fall apart. Because I've realized, from, again, my own experience and yours as well, is that if we leave a marriage, jump from that marriage to that new relationship, no matter what we think no matter what we tell ourselves, we have not healed from that situation. Probably haven't even processed it fully. Probably haven't even took the time to really sit down with ourselves and evaluate what happened. And then all of a sudden, the butterflies start again. Oh my God, I'm attracted to this person. And boom, we're flying into a light. And we don't even know what just happened.
Exactly.
And then we're slipping and falling into the same things and the same exact reasons and things why we left that marriage start to happen in that new relationship.
Yeah. I know a lot of, especially women, feel like, that they were not the cause of the breakdown. Sometimes men too. And especially if you were in some type of really abusive relationship where your partner might have been physically, verbally, mentally abusing you. But there are still factors about ourselves that we allow that behavior to happen. There's still things that we choose or we either tolerate, we excuse, we shove things under the rug, we ignore things, we make choices, because of our children. There's all kind of reasons why we will tolerate certain type of behavior. So even a person who has been a true victim in a relationship of some type of abuse still has accountability in that relationship.
Absolutely. I can definitely agree with that 100% because I know in the beginning of the breakdown of my marriage, I had the victim mentality. Mm-hmm. But then after I started healing, so the victim mentality, then I jumped into a new relationship and the same things kind of started percolating, just coming through. And I was like, oh my God, there's a common denominator here and it can't be them. Cannot all be them. So then you start evaluating like, okay, who am I? How am I contributing to this relationship? What is going on? And then I started doing the journey myself. And I was like, oh, crap, there's some accountability here. And when you have to sit with yourself and take that accountability, it freaking sucks. Yeah. Let's be honest.
It's important, too, that women don't beat themselves up over, having those failures. Like I went through 3, right? I could have just said, I suck at this and quit, right? And a lot of women do. And that's what's really sad to me is when I encounter women who have gotten to that point where they're just like, I'm over it. I'm done. I can provide for myself. I have a happy life. I love the activities that I'm in. Have a great job or career. I have a great friend base. I'm feeling satisfied in all these areas. And because of the trauma that they've experienced in past relationships, or even with dating, they just give up. They don't want to try it again. They don't want to go out there again. And sometimes it just takes multiple experiences, right? To really learn that hard lesson that there's something underlining that we really need to address. And a lot of times it can be, once you learn what that is, it's a quick light switch that goes off.
No, absolutely. Because I know once I started evaluating where I went wrong, not focusing on what they did. What did Priscilla do? What did I do to create those things that happened in the relationship? And sometimes it could have been really nothing. It could have also been the person. But even still, like sitting with yourself and saying, if I could have done X, Y, and Z, not that it's like, oh, what if? It's more if I could have done X, Y, and Z different, maybe responded differently, or maybe looked at myself a little different in this situation, it wouldn't have happened in that way. It probably still would have happened, but maybe not to that extent. But self-evaluation and really, really focusing on what it is that we did instead of playing the victim, because I'm not a victim. I don't want to have that mentality. And I think getting out of that victim mentality is so important because let's be honest, a lot of women do that. Yeah. We play the victim because somebody asked me one time, what did you do? And I was like, I didn't do nothing. Yeah. And then I was like, wait a minute, that was the wrong answer because that's the answer that I would always give. It's recorded, like embedded, right? But then once I was like, yes, there was a lot. Yes, I played my part. My answer has started to change. It's not, oh, I did nothing. I just say I contributed and I did my part.
It's the resentment that we experience that really hinders us from being able to look within ourselves, right? We're so angry in our hearts over the experiences that we had with that person. And it just can be I can remember it took me years before I was able to forgive my first ex-husband. We actually have 2 children together that we co-parent, and that was really, I think, the driving force that persuaded me to really push toward finding healing and finding peace with him, is because I wanted my children to have a healthy relationship with me, with him, and with their future partners. Like, I wanted them to be able to see what healthy looked like. I didn't want them to just have this vision in their mind into adulthood that this is what a marriage looks like, right? So it just takes time. It really takes time and healing to get over that resentment before a person can really look inward at themselves and admit their own fault.
No, I 100% agree with you, because my first marriage, we were arguing about something and I stopped. I had this moment and I stopped and I said, you know what? You and I did not work, and that's okay. I was like, but there's no reason why we cannot make things work for our children. I said, we need to put our BS aside and really focus on what matters.
Yeah.
And it's our 2 kids. And he looked at me, he's like, you know what, you're right. There's no reason for us to be arguing about things that don't matter anymore.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people need to understand that, we hear all the time about some person being the bigger person and people just being, I'm tired of being the bigger person, But when you have a genuine shift like that, like you're describing, where it just connected with you, where you're like, this has to stop, and you're really ready to take a healthy direction. Once you start making those changes, the other person is either going to stick out like a sore thumb because they're not, or they're going to follow that lead and they're going to be like, you know what, you're right. And they're going to start adapting to that healthy pattern. So a lot of times it just takes one person.
Yeah. So, after that, co-parenting was really smooth. We really didn't have any arguments. We have little tidbits here and there, but it was easily resolvable. We got along great for many, many, many years. We even were able to go to graduations and be in the same room. Sometimes there were, I would drop off the kids and go inside and say hi to the family and leave. I didn't stay and hang out, but I did say hi. And it got to that, sometimes I'd even go over to his house and have dinner. If the kids, needed to drop him off, or he'd ask me, have you eaten yet? I'm like, no, I've been running around. He's like, come in and eat. I eat, hang out, leave, things like that. So we were able to really build a really good co-parenting relationship, and that really helped our kids. And I remember one time I was asking my kids, are you guys okay, with mom and dad not being together? How does that feel? What are your thoughts? And they were kind of young at that time, but both my kids, they're freaking smart. It's so amazing and crazy. Even though they're young, they still understand. They were like, you know what, Mom, we see that you guys are both happy, not together. And we want you to be happy. So being together doesn't matter to us because everyone's happy.
That's such a good message for people, especially men or women who are holding on to relationships that are unhealthy because of their children, to know that once you do get that healing, if you need to separate to do that, that you can get that healing, and then it can be okay for your children.
Yeah.
To not, it's really more detrimental to force your children to stay in this unhealthy environment and witness this, because all of this comes from learned behavior, right? From our childhood experiences, our environment, and so whatever they're observing, watching in the household are 9 times out of 10 going to be behaviors they're going to repeat. So if you're able to give them that opportunity to see yourself heal, even if that means separately, so that you all can begin to respect one another as human beings again, then that's going to give them a better opportunity to make better choices in their life, because now they've seen the bad and the good, right? And then they can make a choice for themselves, a healthy choice for themselves.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because, they've seen the fighting. They've seen the drag out, screaming, I hate each other matches, and I went from that to a happy mom and a happy dad and us talking and laughing. We were even barbecuing together at one point. I'm telling you, it was a great relationship for our kids. And, just to move the conversation, just shift a little bit, how can someone prepare themselves emotionally before they start dating again? What are some things that you would tell your clients, like, this is the things that you need to do before you get yourself back out there?
One of the main things that I work with my clients is really evaluating those past relationships and understanding what was it that broke down? Like, what is it a skill set that needs to be worked on, like communication skills? Is it, I don't know, just so many different like things that whether it's, they don't communicate well together. There's a lack of trust there that needs to be rebuilt, a lack of self-worth that needs to be rebuilt. So really evaluating what was the breakdown in that relationship, what caused this relationship to fail. And again, like we talked about before, owning your part and rebuilding that confidence that you are worthy of a quality, healthy relationship. Really building the confidence, the self-worth, the belief in yourself that it exists. Like, so many women and men have this belief in their mind that all the good ones are taken. They're all gone.
I hear that a lot. Yeah, I hear that a lot.
There's so many beliefs, which in the coaching space we call limiting beliefs, because they're barriers that hinder you from being able to find a healthy relationship. They're walls that we put up. There's no good men out there. There's no good women left. They only want, women who are thin, or, I hear that a lot. Like, it's all like a physical appearance is the issue. A lot of women want to, lose weight before they get back out in the dating scene. And I'm like, you don't
need to do that.
No, you don't need to do that. Like, a person that's truly going to value you is going to value you for who you are. And they understand the fact that, our bodies change, that even though you may be a size 5 today, in 5 years from now, there's no guarantee you're going to be that size. So you need to just really be authentically yourself. So just really helping women understand how to show up authentically, even walking them through understanding the difference between masculine and femininity, and understanding that role, because men who are heterosexual are attracted to women who are feminine, females, not the masculine energy.
Right.
So it's a lot of different things like that just going through that healing to get the clarity. And then really being prepared to move forward is really identifying what it is that you want, what is really going to work for your life. Because in midlife, like yourself and I, we have children now, you have a lifestyle now. You're not in your early 20s where you're trying to figure stuff out, right? You're doing that together with a partner. You already are established in your beliefs, your political beliefs, your religious beliefs, your, all these different areas that are really important to us, how you want to raise your children. Decisions that you make in life are just built on certain values that you have. So really getting clear about what is going to work for your life, what it is that you need, and really understanding what your values are. So many women, when I ask them to name their values, they have such a hard time identifying what they are. And there's 10 to 50 different values, depending on your, race, your culture, spirituality, the way you were, raised. And majority of my clients can identify at least 15 values that they need to make sure are in an alignment with a partner for a long-term relationship. Anybody can go to dinner and go to fun events, pop stroke, go putt-putting and have all these fun adventures for a few months, 6 months, a year even. But when life begins to happen and you now are making decisions in your life, that's when the breakdown happens, because you make your decisions based on your values. So if your partner is not making decisions in a way that are aligned with your values, that's when the resentment steps in.
That makes so much sense. So I have a friend, and
we all have a friend.
I love her. Met a guy and was married to him in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's great because it's a rush. You're in love, right? But what happens when the smoke clears?
Yeah.
What happens when real life starts to hit you? Exactly. Finances, job, values. I like to eat this. I like to eat that. I don't like to do this. Because even something simple as I'm going to cook, you're not going to cook, or I don't like to cook, I ain't never cooking, ever. Like, those things have to be worked out. And even though they're minute, they're small, little things become big things.
They do. They pile on like little blocks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, I wish her the best. I want what is best for her, but I'm scared for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm like, you don't even know this man. Mm-hmm. You don't truly know him. You know the mask he's presenting. Because I promise you that mask is going to fall off. And you're going to figure out, oh, crap. Did I just make a mistake? Or I'm in it. I'm in it. And now what? It's like, do I push through? Do I fight for this? Like, I don't know, because they're not at that point yet. It's still in the honeymoon. We just did this. It's a rush. It's fun. But God, I'm scared.
Yeah.
This
is the challenge. Like, back when you're young, like 18 to 25-ish.
Yeah.
If you're dating someone, 9 times out of 10, it's from your community or your environment, from your hometown, from your church, from the school you're going to, family, friends. Like, you are observing this person's life over time. Now, in the dating scene with dating apps, and especially being in midlife looking for partners, you're meeting complete strangers. You don't know anything about their background.
No.
And people are making choices off of chemistry alone. I'm attracted to him. I feel good around him. He makes me feel special. He's giving me this attention. And who's not in the beginning? That's the whole point.
Who's not? You're right. Yeah.
But usually, research just shows that it takes about 90 days, 3 months, for a person, if they are wearing a mask, for that mask to fall off, for you to really start to be able to see who this person really is. And it really depends on how much time you've had in those 3 months of really, being with that person to pick up on those signs and signals. So that's why really having proper questions to ask in the beginning to get clarity on, what they're like, why they are where they are today, how they handle conflict, what the situation, do they even understand why their past relationship broke down? Are they even able to be accountable for the problem that they caused, and are they doing something differently today to correct that pattern,
No, I agree with that 100%, because I remember when I was dating, I would always ask people, or the men that I would date, like, do you want kids? Because that part of my life is over.
Yes.
If you want kids, well, I'm out.
Yes.
Because I don't want kids. That's just not, I've been there, done that. The factory shop, we're closed. We're not doing that anymore. Do you want to get married?
Yeah.
Because the goal is to date to be a wife. And I would ask a time frame 2 years. That's my max, 2 years. My goal isn't to be a career girlfriend. My goal is to be a wife.
Ooh, career girlfriend. That's deep.
Right.
There's a lot of career girlfriend and boyfriends out there.
Correct. And that's not my cup of tea. That's not my end game. My goal is to be a wife. So then I would ask, like, do you want to get married? And when I would get the wishy-washy answers, I already knew. That they were not for me.
How they respond is the evidence that you need.
Right.
And part of the problem that we have today is that we don't believe people in what they say.
They're being honest.
Yeah. And a lot, especially women, really struggle with this, with wanting to change a man, fix a man. Oh, if he just is with me long enough, he'll see what a great person I am. I can change his mind. And Priscilla, it doesn't work.
I used to be that.
Yeah.
I used to be that woman. Even in the last relationship that I had, he was a broken man. And, with the abuse that followed, I always thought, if I stayed, if I loved him enough, if I showed him that I was there, if he understood, like, I wasn't going to leave him like everyone else did, that he would see the value in that and he would stick around and change and not be the person. But I can't change anybody.
You cannot change anyone except yourself.
Right. And there were conversations where he would say he was going to change because he would see, like, that I was hurt, or he would talk to somebody else about whatever situation we were going through, and he would come back and say these words. But I stopped listening to words after a while and started watching actions, and the actions would change for a day or two and then right back to the words. And it would break my heart because the man that I loved was sitting there basically lying to my face, and he knew he couldn't be that person. And if he couldn't be that person, he needed to be honest with himself first. But I already knew it. You know, you feel it in your stomach. Like, he's not going to be the man that I'm needing or wanting. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
And the sad belief is I wanted it so bad. I wanted to believe him that I stayed hoping that what I felt was wrong. But
And we also see that, we hear this all the time, you know, that women date men for their potential, not for where they really are.
Say that louder, because that is the truth. 100%. We fall in love with potential, and we don't fall in love with action, like real action. Because I get that a man can have a dream, like, I want to do X, Y, and Z, and they're doing that or they're working on that. But we have to have the action behind it, right? The potential is great. But I don't want to fall in love with potential anymore.
No.
I cannot.
No. And a lot of women, you know, are looking to find their value from that man instead of within themselves. When you see your own value, that behavior that you're talking about, describing, is so clear to you that it's unacceptable. And one of the main ways that really helps women recognize these things, because we are so good about shoving things under the rug and, oh, let's not bring that up right now. It's a hot topic. I don't want to argue over that. But journaling is one of the ways that brings to your conscious mind the things that are repeating in your relationship. So just maintaining a journal and documenting the times that these patterns show up, the argument, what happened before, how it happened, you know, what took place, the feelings that are around it, any of the gaslighting, or, you know, all of those things that take place. Documenting those things is what really brings to the light the things that we're ignoring.
You know, having a conversation with a narcissist is like going around in a circle.
Yeah.
You're talking about one thing, all of a sudden you're over here and on the south side.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did I just end up here? Like, what just happened?
Yeah.
It's a mind. You're mind blown.
Yes.
And I had never in my life been with somebody that was a narcissist in my life. But when I would bring up things like, this is what's bothering me, oh, it was his turn to bring up what was bothering him.
Right. Oh, yes.
And I would listen because that's what I'm supposed to do. So I would listen to him, hear what he would say. And then next thing I know, I'm having all of a sudden, what I was talking about, I don't know what just happened. It's gone.
Yeah. Because they don't take any accountability.
I'm just like, I don't know what just happened, but I'm apologizing.
Yes.
I'm the one upset right now.
Yes.
And this wasn't supposed to be this way. We're talking about my feelings and how I was feeling about the situation that just happened. I'm telling you, dating after relationships and not healing is the worst thing you could do for yourself. The worst thing you could do. Give yourself, I don't know, a year to heal. At least. Really work on yourself. Really, really, really deep dive. Bawl those ugly, disgusting tears. Sit with yourself. Because I know when I was in my healing journey, I cried a lot. And I was like, wow. And you feel like crap. Like, but almost a year later, I'm like, I'm glad I did it.
Yes.
I'm so glad I did it.
Yes. Yes.
So this was a wonderful conversation. I'm so glad that you came here so we can have these amazing conversations that we don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, dating, trauma, who did what, honestly, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it does not matter. So really quick before we wrap up, kind of tell us how we can get a hold of you, because I think that somebody out there is looking for love and you would be the perfect person to help them get through something, to find someone to love them. Everyone needs to be loved.
Yes.
There's too many single people out here. We need love, so they need you.
Yes.
So tell us how, or tell the audience how they can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. So for one, you can go on my website, which is www.theoliveav.com. And you can find out about my story there, success stories from my clients. I have a blog there that shares a lot of details and information about how to really find a quality relationship. And to your followers, I give them a free 15-minute, what we call clarity call, just to see if the things that they're struggling with is something that I can help them with. And if it is, then I offer them a free 60 to 90-minute deep dive to really explore what those challenges are and to seek whether or not working together is in alignment for both of us. So free 15-minute call just to, get in clarity on what the issue is and whether or not, we should work together, as well as the 60 to 90-minute session to really do a deep dive into what challenges they're facing and how I can help them overcome those things.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here, guys. If you need somebody to help you in the dating world, she's your girl. That is a wrap for today. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you soon. Bye. All right, that's a wrap on this episode of Don't Be Shady. If you laughed, nodded, or said, even once, go ahead and follow, leave a review, and share it with your crew. Slide into my DMs on Instagram, and let's keep the convo going. And remember, keep it cute, keep it classy, and don't be shady.